30. And I don't think it's because people don't care about the Republican message. It's because we did a poor job of explaining what that message is. And I will tell y'all, if the youth don't start getting involved in the conversations and the debates that are taking place up in Washington, in Tallahassee, in Newport Richey, in Dade City, then we're going to lose this country. I'll give you a quick analogy. The federal budget that they're passing this year, this 1 year, and just so you know, in Washington, D.C., as you probably already know, you don't have to pass a balanced budget, right? If they want to spend $4 trillion, but they're only bringing in $2 trillion, they just borrow the money. I mean, literally, this is what they do. In the state of Florida, we can't do that. We have to balance our budget. You cannot spend more than you have. In Washington, D.C., this year alone, in 1 year's budget, it is an average of $25,000 of debt per person. Okay, so every person in this room, I don't know if I can do a count, there's probably 40 or 40 people or so, maybe 50 people. 25,000 times 40, that's what the deficit is for just the people in this room. Imagine trying to run a business where you're losing that much money every single year. It's unsustainable. It is absolutely unsustainable. I'll give you another example. People talk about, I know I'm talking about federal politics, but I think it's important because there's a battle of ideas that's taking place in this country. And to be honest with you, we're losing it right now. And it's because we have to learn how to articulate. You know, we can't just stand up and say the same old thing. Less government, less taxes, personal freedoms, all things I believe in. Everything, standing up for families, all the things that we care about. But if we don't find a better way to articulate what we mean, then we're going to continue to get beat. Barack Obama, love him or hate him, his campaign was one of the best I've ever seen in my life because they were able to take very complicated issues, boil them down into sound bites, and articulate a message that even if you were a conservative, you listen to this guy speak and you're saying, I guess I could agree with that. That doesn't sound too bad. But then when you see him come into office and the decisions he's making, you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, what has happened to me? But another example, this is a good one. Everybody's familiar with the Madoff scandal, the Ponzi scheme, right? The Ponzi scheme of all Ponzi schemes. I will tell you the biggest Ponzi scheme that I've ever seen in my life, and it dwarfs the Madoff Ponzi scheme. It's called Social Security. Yes. What a Ponzi scheme is, okay? Let me just tell you what Madoff did and how he made his money. The idea is you keep bringing in more people that pay into a pot. You take the money out of the pot and you pay the people that have already been in it. And it works as long as you get new people coming in. But when you don't have enough people coming in, paying into the pot, guess what? You don't have enough money to pay the people at the end of it, okay? The original investors. That's what Social Security is. It is a Ponzi scheme. It is based on us paying enough in taxes, you and I, to hopefully be able to pay for all the folks who are retiring. And when the baby boomers all retire, I'm here to tell you guys, Social Security will not exist. And if it does exist, they're going to raise our taxes through the roof, state and federal, because there's just no way to pay for it. It is a Ponzi scheme. People get thrown in jail for years for doing what the federal government's doing right now. It's unbelievable. And so, if you understand those concepts, if you believe in those concepts, if you believe that our state has challenges, that our nation has challenges, then you've got to get involved now. Because if there's anything we learned that when the youth vote gets mobilized and excited, they can turn an election around. And I'm going to tell you guys, in 2010, it's going to be another banner year in Florida. Florida is, let me tell you why the stakes are so high. Number one, the Senate has 60 seats. If we lose the U.S. Senate seat in the state of Florida, that means they can pass out just about anything they want in Congress and not have to answer to anybody. The second reason is redistricting comes after 2010. That's when the legislature, myself and my colleagues, draw up all the seats in the state and decide what they look like. If we get a Democratic governor, I'm going to tell you guys, the seats aren't going to look pretty and they're not going to look favorable to us because every time we try to draw them as Republicans, she's going to veto it and send us back in. I can't, if a Democratic governor wins in 2010, there's a very good chance that in the future we could end up being in the minority. Right now the Republicans, like in the House, we have a 76 majority to 44 in the minority. That could change overnight. And the stakes are so high. And so the fact that you're here tells me you're interested. But I'm here to tell you, you can't just get interested, you've got to get active. You've got to get involved. Don't just take my word for it, but if you really care, if you want to get involved in a campaign, I'll help you get involved in a campaign. I want to thank you guys and the board for stepping up and putting this together. And I will help in any way that I possibly can. But you're going to need numbers. You're going to need people that are willing to give up time, weekends, are willing to sweat, because that's what campaigns are about. Campaigns are not about champagne and fundraisers. Campaigns are about sweat and hard work and barbecues and things like that. That's what wins elections. And There's some people in this room that have been doing it for a long time that can show you how to do it. But you guys can mobilize and make a difference in this county. I'm telling you right now, you can absolutely flip this county upside down. Because there's very few people who actually are willing to work. They like to go to meetings, they like to have food, they like to listen to speakers, but most people don't want to work. If you guys are willing to work, you can change the face of Pasco County. You absolutely can. And so I would encourage you to do that. Lastly, I'll leave you with this. I don't like to talk for too long. I'm sure I've already talked too long, but I want to do some Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, I'll answer any of them. But it's a tremendous honor for me to be young and to represent, young Republicans in the state of Florida. It's a tremendous honor, and I take it very seriously because I think I bring a different perspective than people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s. The average age up there is over 50. But by having somebody who's young, who's representing your generation, I understand what a BlackBerry is. I know how to use it. I got a Facebook page. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm in your age group. I get it. And that's the future. That is the future. And we have to embrace it. And we have to find ways to win elections, just like the Democrats did. We actually need to take their playbook, steal it from them, make it better, and kick their butts in November of 2010. Now, that's what I'm going to try to do. I hope you guys will help me do that. And with that, thank you so much for having me, and I am open to answering any questions or suggestions. I take suggestions well too.
Well, I'll give you a suggestion.
Bill, yeah.
This is a great group and a great turnout for the first time. I'm going to call him Mr. Speaker because he's going to be the speaker and he's going to be a great speaker. But he can do something for this club to motivate you right now. He can say in the next legislative session, you can be his guest in Tallahassee, take up a bus, he'll tour the Capitol,
right.
and somebody will pick up the bill.
That's right. Yeah, we will do
There you
that. Yeah. And I'm open to doing that. I'm open to doing that. Now I'm kind of nailed down. I don't know. Thanks, Bill. We would love to do that. And, I think seeing democracy in action, coming up to Tallahassee and seeing what it's really like is worth it too. I mean, if you haven't ever seen a Congress, or you go to Congress, it's like an empty room and somebody's standing with a mic and talking. You guys ever turn the TV on, see speakers, you see one guy talking, you're thinking, what the heck is he talking about? Nobody's in there. Ours is a lot different. Ours is feisty. There's 120 people in the room. We have real debates, lots of back and forth. It's very exciting. And so that's a great suggestion. That's a great suggestion. And look, I mean, I think now that you've got your club up and going, I mean, I'd love to be one of the first people to donate to it. So, I mean, I would love to, I guess I'll make an announcement right here. I'd love to be one of the first people. I'll donate $250 to your club to get it started. So it'd be my honor. You have to spend that however you want, but yeah.
Well, you gave us a little spill there. You mentioned the redistricting of the state and the Democrat. And in your comment, you mentioned sheep. I imagine you were talking about Alex Sink.
Yeah.
What do we have on our side that's coming up?
That's a good question. So Joe's talking about redistricting, and I was talking about how there's a Democratic governor that could be a game changer for us. A lot of people think Alex Sink is going to be a real good candidate. I'll be honest with you, she will. Alex Sink is, I mean, she's not a conservative, but she's not a liberal. Certainly not fiscally. On social policy, she is. Fiscally, she used to be the CEO of Bank of America. She's a very, very intelligent lady, and she's going to be a tough candidate. And so we've got to have, there's some people in the race. Bill McCullough is talking about running. We've got some folks like Vern Buchanan. Actually, my father-in-law, Alan Bentz, has been mentioned as a candidate. I don't know if he'll run or not. But Charlie Bronson is probably going to run. I'll be honest with you. I'm worried about all those candidates. I am very concerned about us winning the governor's mansion. And it doesn't mean we can't do it, but we have to make sure that whoever the candidate is, there's going to be a squabble. Everybody's going to pick sides. Within this room, you guys will have favorites of who you like for governor. But at the end of the day, come September 4th or whatever it is, the day after the primary, we are going to have to come together and win this thing for the Republican Party. So whatever you do, don't get so attached to your candidate that if your guy doesn't win, you're mad at the other guy, because that's what's happened to Republicans and Democrats in the past, is that they start to eat their own. We've got to hang together. And I hope a good candidate emerges. I'm a little bit concerned about the governor's race. I really am. So,
Very serious.
any other? Who else got questions? Yeah.
Have you ever read the book Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky?
Say it again.
Have you ever read the book Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky?
Rules for Radicals. No, I've never read it.
Just curious. That you mentioned using the Democrats' playbook against them.
Yeah.
That's the Democrats' playbook.